What if the most talked about truck in America right now is one that you are not even allowed to buy? It is fast, it is powerful, it is one of the most advanced machines ever built for the open road. And yet, you will almost never see it on an American highway. It is called the Scania. On the roads of Sweden and Germany, they are everywhere. In the United States, they are almost a ghost. But here's the part that makes no sense. Right now, in the hills of Tennessee, one American truck driver is doing something almost nobody else in this entire country can do. He is driving a real Scania, a 770 horsepower V8 monster, the kind of truck most American drivers have only ever seen in a video or a video game. And every time another trucker spots it, the same thing happens. They stop, they stare, and they ask one simple question. Why can't I have one of these? In this video, we are going to answer exactly that. We will break down why Scania is locked out of America, even though it builds some of the best trucks on Earth. We will look at the one man who beat the system and put a forbidden European truck on American roads. And we will uncover the quiet, clever way Scania may already be entering your country, hiding in plain sight with almost nobody noticing. But before we begin, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting trucking content. And full credit goes to Bruce Wilson, whose real videos brought this whole story to the public and opened a lot of eyes to what European trucks can really do. Now, to understand why this is such a big deal, you first have to understand one simple fact. You cannot just walk into a dealership in America and buy a new Scania. The brand does not officially sell its trucks here, and it hasn't for decades. So for most American drivers, a Scania is something that lives on the other side of the world. A photo from a European highway, a truck in a game, something you admire from a distance, but never actually touch. It is, in every practical sense, the truck you are not allowed to have. So the obvious question is this: why? Why would a company that builds world-class trucks simply skip the biggest, richest trucking market on the entire planet? The answer is not one single thing. It is a wall, and that wall is built out of several very different bricks. Let's take them one at a time. The first brick is the rules. Every single truck sold in the United States has to meet a long list of federal safety and emissions standards. And a European truck like a Scania is simply not built or certified for those exact American requirements straight out of the factory. To sell here legally, Scania would have to redesign parts of its trucks and put them through an expensive certification process to prove they meet American law. That takes years, and it costs an enormous amount of money. And there is only one way to earn that money back. You have to sell a lot of trucks fast. Which brings us straight to the second brick. The second brick is the numbers and the loyalty behind them. American trucking culture runs incredibly deep. Brands like Kenworth, Peterbilt, and Freightliner are not just companies here, they are icons, backed by decades of trust and a fierce kind of pride. For a huge number of drivers, an iconic, long-nose American rig is not just a machine, it is part of who they are. So now picture Scania's problem. To make all that expensive certification worth it, they would need thousands of these loyal drivers to abandon the brands they grew up with and switch to a strange name from across the ocean. That is a massive gamble. High cost, high risk, and a reward that is anything but guaranteed. And the third brick might be the biggest one of all: support. In commercial trucking, a vehicle is only as strong as the network standing behind it. When a truck breaks down in the middle of a long haul, the operator needs three things, and needs them fast: parts on the shelf, a technician who actually understands the machine, and a quick path back onto the road. Without that, even the most advanced truck in the world turns into a very expensive paperweight. With an American brand, there is a dealer in almost every state and a parts network built up over generations. With a Scania, there is almost none of that. Picture it this way: a small problem that any American shop could fix in a single afternoon might leave a Scania sitting for weeks, waiting on one part to cross an entire ocean. For a truck that only makes money when its wheels are turning, that is a nightmare. And here's the thing: Scania already learned all of this the hard way. Because believe it or not, this is not the first time. Back in the 1980s, Scania actually tried to break into the American market, and it managed to sell only a few hundred trucks before it gave up and quietly walked away. The reason was mostly that exact support problem we just talked about. Too few dealers, too few parts, too many drivers left stranded on the side of the road, losing money and losing faith. Confidence collapsed, and the whole venture quietly died. So for nearly 40 years after that, the American highway belonged entirely to the home team. And the Scania settled into its strange role, a legend you could admire from afar, but never own. Which finally brings us to the man in Tennessee. His name is Bruce Wilson. He is a businessman and a true trucking enthusiast based in Jamestown, Tennessee, where he buys, sells, and works with heavy machinery and trucks. He is the kind of man who lives and breathes equipment. And instead of accepting that a Scania was simply off limits in America, he went and did the impossible. He got one anyway. And not just any Scania either. He brought over the R770, the flagship, the big V8, 770 horsepower of pure Swedish engineering, one of the most powerful production trucks on the entire planet, now parked right in the middle of long-nosed American country. Just think about how strange that picture is. While his neighbors are running familiar American rigs, Bruce climbs into a cab that most US drivers have only ever dreamed about. Now remember everything we just said about that wall. The rules, the certification, the missing support. Bruce had to climb over every single brick of it. To get a truck like this onto American roads, he had to ship it across an entire ocean, clear it through customs, fight through mountains of paperwork, and work with specialists who actually knew how to do it. He had to spend serious money and show serious patience. And once it arrived, he had to become his own support network. No dealer down the road, no shelf of spare parts, every component sourced ahead of time, every problem solved on his own. Most people would have quit before they even started. Bruce didn't. And that single decision turned him into something the American trucking world had genuinely never seen before. But here is where the story really comes alive, because the truck itself is only half of it. The real magic is what happens when other American truckers get up close to that Scania. And the reaction follows almost the exact same pattern every time. First comes curiosity. They stop and they stare. Then they pull out their phones. Then, slowly, they climb up into the cab. And that is when the surprise hits them. The quiet cab, the smooth ride, the clever, comfortable use of space, the technology built entirely around the driver. For a lot of these men, it is the very first time they have ever felt what a modern European truck is actually like. And it lands like a small shock, because it plants a seed, a simple, uncomfortable question that they cannot shake. Why don't we have this? Some of them walk away genuinely impressed. Others walk away a little unsettled, quietly wondering if the trucks they have driven and loved their whole lives have somehow fallen behind the rest of the world. And Bruce does not keep this truck polished in a garage like a trophy. He uses it hard, exactly the way it was built to be used. In one of his boldest trips, he took the Scania on a true cross-country run, leaving his shop in Tennessee and driving all the way west to one of the biggest equipment shows in the country, out near Las Vegas. That journey covered roughly 2,500 miles across open highways, through mountain passes, over long stretches of desert. A friend even flew in all the way from Finland just to ride along. And on the way home, he didn't run empty. He loaded the truck up with equipment and hauled it back, putting the Scania to work exactly as it was meant to be. Every mile of that trip was living proof that this truck doesn't just survive on American roads. It thrives on them. And the crowds tell the same story. At a single truck show in Texas, Bruce's Scania reportedly drew well over 500 people, all gathering around just to see it up close. Many of them were stepping into a Scania cab for the very first time in their lives. That is not how people behave around an ordinary truck. That is how people behave around something they believe they may never get the chance to see again. And then came the part that truly sealed it. The story got so big that Scania itself started to take notice. A company that does not even officially sell trucks in America suddenly had an independent American putting their product in front of a massive online audience. For free. At that huge show out west, a senior figure from Scania's own marketing team actually sat down to interview Bruce on camera. Think about what that means. For a brand that walked away from this market decades ago, watching one ordinary American build this much genuine excitement around its trucks is almost too good to be true. Without ever planning it, Bruce had become Scania's unofficial American ambassador, earning the kind of trust that no advertisement could ever buy. But now we come to the part that almost nobody is talking about. Because while the entire industry watches the front door, waiting for the day Scania officially returns with a grand reveal, Scania may have already slipped in quietly through the back. Here is the detail that unlocks the whole strategy. Scania does not operate alone. It is owned by a giant called the Traton Group, the heavy vehicle division of Volkswagen, one of the largest manufacturing companies on Earth. And that one fact changes everything. Because Traton also owns International, formerly known as Navistar, one of the most established and trusted names in all of American trucking. Stop and picture that for a second. The same parent company now owns a Swedish engineering legend and an American highway icon, side by side under a single roof. And when two truck makers sit inside the same family, they begin to share. They share platforms, they share engineering, and most importantly, they share engines. Since 2024, International trucks have been rolling off the line with a new engine that is built on Scania's own technology. The same engineering DNA that has powered Scania across Europe for years is now sitting inside American International trucks, running on American highways today. And here is the kicker. Most of the drivers behind the wheel have no idea. So the next time a clean, modern International rolls past you on the interstate, listen closely, because somewhere inside that engine, there is a quiet Swedish accent. So what does all of this actually mean for the people behind the wheel? More than you might think. Because Scania's whole reputation is built on two things the American market has been quietly craving for years: efficiency and comfort. On efficiency, Scania's engines and smart transmissions are designed to read the road ahead and squeeze more miles out of every single gallon. And with fuel making up roughly a quarter of what it costs to run a truck, even small savings add up to real money over the life of the machine. On comfort, European drivers often live in their cabs for weeks at a time. So Scania builds its interiors like a small, quiet home on wheels. And that matters enormously here, because America is short of drivers. And the younger generation coming up through CDL schools cares less about old tradition and far more about technology, comfort, and a truck that feels modern. So as Scania's engineering quietly spreads, those drivers lose nothing and gain a great deal. So here is the bottom line. America never banned the Scania with a single dramatic law. It locked it out with a wall of rules, of risk, and of missing support built up over decades. But one stubborn man in Tennessee proved that wall could be climbed. He cut through the paperwork, the regulations, and the impossible logistics, and he put a forbidden European truck on American roads. Then he drove it thousands of miles, showed it to thousands of people, and let it speak for itself. And while everyone was busy watching him, Scania's engineering was already quietly arriving anyway. One engine at a time, hidden inside trucks that Americans already trust. The truth is, Bruce Wilson didn't just import a truck. He imported a question. A question about whether the trucks Americans drive are really the only option, or even the best one. And once people have seen the answer with their own eyes, it is very hard for them to unsee it. The future of American trucking may already be here. We simply didn't hear it coming. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the trucks shaping the road ahead. And once again, a big thank you to Bruce Wilson for everything he has done in trucking media. Until next time, stay safe out there.